For instance, in our case, if you're in Kenya, you can go to Nairobi, the Supreme Court, you can file for the sole custody. Then the next thing is the transitional phase. So this is like the 6-month period, that is a period you have to observe the situation before making a final ruling, and it's done by the judge. Relocating abroad has a lot of challenges that it comes with. One of them being the requirements that you have to put in place to make sure that when you are relocating or moving abroad, you have a smooth transition from one country to another. And that comes with everything that you require for you to successfully then be given a visa or for your visa to be approved. And today I want to talk about now additionally moving abroad or relocating with your child, which has additional costs financially and preparedness wise. Yeah. So hello, my name is Winnie and welcome back to my channel. Today I am addressing joint versus sole custody of the child. What are the requirements? What do you need for you to move abroad or relocate with your child successfully and legally in a manner that will not bring you problems in future when you are trying to settle? Because already you know, when you are relocating personally and also for your child, it comes with a lot of challenges. The mental stability, having to detach from family and many other things. So you want to make sure you look at all the legal procedures that you require, even for your visa to be approved on time, for you to be able to relocate and successfully settle, knowing that you have followed all the requirements and you did not use any shortcut that can bring problems in your life. So joint custody is simple, because when you have joint custody, that is to mean two parents who are taking care of the child. You will just need the consent of the other parent approving your relocation. Otherwise, it will be regarded as the so-called international child abduction, and the left behind parent can take action against you. He can report or she can report, and then you will be legally forced that the child immediately return to the country. And this even tampers with their own psychology. However, the sole custody is whereby you have been taking care of the child, or you can approve this 4 requirements or steps. Number 1, the reason as why you can file or be granted child custody, and in this case, I'm talking about in court. You have to get the court order. And just before I continue, make sure that when you are looking for this, you pick an international family lawyer or a lawyer, regional, whichever you pick, but get a lawyer who understands both the requirements for the local or the country you're moving in and your own, that they look at the situation. So how do you know whether to file for sole custody? The first one is where there is severe breach of duty, okay? When we have domestic violence, abuse, severe neglect, substance abuse by the other partner, then you can successfully prove that you want to attest or you are filing for sole custody at the court. Second one is when there is total communication breakdown. And remember, when we are talking about sole custody for the child, it is on the interest of the child. So they look at what is benefiting the child. And in this case, when you're talking about total breakdown of communication, this is affecting the child. So they will see to it that when there is breakdown of communication, like when you are unable to communicate and this, actively affect the mental health or even the physical health, general health of the child, then you'll be granted custody. The third one is when there is complete disinterest. Some parents or one of the two parents or any could be able to just be totally disinterested. They leave. So if you can prove that the other parent abandoned the child or they are not showing no interest in their life for both like extended periods. So for a period of 1 year or months, there is no communication, they cut off ties. And even if you can prove that you try to reach out, but they no longer want anything to do with the child, financial wise and even like physical presence, then you can attest for this. So those are the 3 requirements majorly. And this is the procedure that you need for you to go through like with your sole custody application. The first one is to file an application, the sole custody one at the local district court, or for instance, in our case, if you're in Kenya, you can go to Nairobi, the Supreme Court, you can file for the sole custody. Then the next thing is the transitional phase. So this is like the 6-month period. That is a period you have to observe the situation before making a final ruling, and it's done by the judge. So in this period, that's why I started by saying it's a whole process for the visa application, and you have put hold to your visa application because you have to deal with the child custody so that you can put it in order, because you need the court order allowing you to leave the country legally with the child. So this one is going to take up to about 6 months. So that means you would even require a longer period to start this process earlier. Because if maybe their reason for moving abroad is for work purposes or has a timeline, then you might be caught up. So the earlier you start and file for this custody and be done with, the better. So first of all, look at the time period. It can take up to 6 months, up to 1 year. It depends with the situation. So because the court wants to make sure also they look at all the processes, they look at both sides of the story, both sides of the situation, look at which is the most suitable, and they cannot rush a decision based on your own interest of moving. At that point, they would not care if you have to delay or cancel your visa application and reapply again if it was already approved, just to make sure that they do their due diligence to get the child the right they have with the right parent, or if in this case sole custody, that the mother or the father, whichever the parent, is able to move successfully with the child and it's in the best interest of the child and not the other two parties. Then the next one is evaluation. Now this is what I was talking about, where the court will likely involve family court, psychologist if they need to, social worker, the children's department, they need to do a report. So that's the period also that the court might order or will order that they, like for instance, children department, they go and do an evaluation and bring as part of the evaluation that they will need. And then the next one is the hearing now. And we have two categories. If a child applies, for instance, 10 years of an age where they can make decision, they would be questioned. Definitely. So the court would also consider the question in a separate room or separately. They would want to evaluate and listen to the child. And if the child is 14 years, for instance, and above, then they would take serious or really consider their interest. They would even ask the child whom they think they want to stay with. It doesn't matter if you are the most financially stable or whichever. They look at a lot of factors and just ensure that the child is about the child and not about any of you, because they do this evaluation. So this period is long, and that's why you need to ensure that it can capture your period and you prepare so early in advance that it does not catch up with your visa date of relocation or extended dates. So after looking at the procedure, I will look at the relocation application, okay? What the judge will look at as part of the application, I would say. And just as a side note, I am not a judge, I'm not a lawyer, but yes, I went through this, so I wanted to share with someone so that you can start as early as possible and not be caught up. By the way, I started late, so I got caught up. I had to continue with the application later for my son, so I really want to help someone out there with it. So the first one, the judge will look at the motive. Okay, it's not about you just moving abroad. Is the motive for a legal reason, or you're just trying to attempt to distance the child from the other parent? You know, it could be for personal reason that you have decided this is what I'm going to do. I am going to move to another country so that the other parent cannot see them because of your own personal reasons or differences with your partner or the parent. Then the other one is the contact rights. So do you have the realistic financial viability on how the child will maintain the meaningful relationship with the parents, the other parent, or like during the holidays, covering flight costs and regular video calls? So you have to provide proofs that you will still keep in touch with the other partner if you're given sole custody, or the court orders you, gives an order that it's okay for you to leave the country. So you have to convince them and give them reason to believe that you will still make sure that the child is not deprived of their right to see the other parent when it should be. Then the other one is the child roots. That is, how integrated is this child with the other culture? They might consider that if the different culture is different, and when they did the interview, they realize the child has some difference with how the culture will greatly affect them, the court might definitely rule in favor of the other person keeping the child. So I'm going to give you the non-legal checklist, some of the things you can put down. Take a pen and a paper and write this down now. So you have to make sure that you do after the court has granted you full custody. Now you have to make sure that you take the paper, the court order, and do translation and legalization. So if the court order permission or the child and the child birth certificate and any other requirements that you need to present at the embassy now for the application, because like I stated earlier, it is about the visa application, and the visa of the child has been held until the court decides that it is okay for you to leave. Then now you will need it to accompany it with the other requirements that the embassy will need for you to relocate with the child. So you will take it and go and do the translation and the legalization, because you could be moving into another country that has a different language. So you have to check. So anyway, if your birth certificate or the court order is in English and you're moving to an English speaking countries, you definitely just need to legalize the documents. For instance, if you're in Kenya, I would use my own example. If you're Kenyan, you will have to go to the Foreign Affairs Office to legalize this document, okay? So the next thing is you have to put in order a valid passport, and then make sure that you secure the visa and it is a valid passport or appropriate visa or the residence permits. If you are going to live, for instance, you are moving to Europe for more than 6 months, you will have to be granted to apply for residence permits. So you have to put all the visa requirements of the valid visa that you need, aside from also this court order that you needed. It does not end at where you present it at the visa office. At the checkpoint of your relocation country, you have to provide it. They would also look for the birth certificate and all these things. You have to accompany yourself with them and move with them. The next thing is the child support. Okay, you have to check and ensure that you have ways in which you can get your child support to continue coming in, or also ensure that your financial record is in order or intact. It does not only end at the visa scrutiny, it also starts at the border checkpoint. You might also be asked to show again your bank statement. So you do not want to land in problems after your visa has been approved or your child's with you, and they have to take back the child. It does not necessarily end there. The next thing is the housing and the school. Something you need to know when you're moving abroad and you have a baby, it is not like, for instance, in Africa. In Africa, you can always, when you're going to work, leave your child with the neighbors, whether in the city or wherever. You just tell the neighbors, yeah, I will be going to work, and since my child and yours go to school, they will come home and they stay and stick around until I go to job. I remember for my case, when I had to get my son to join me, they told me to prove my number of hours per week that I stay in school, and they needed before the child to come to secure a school. It's a requirement, the kindergarten in that matter. So you have to also give that proof, or if you're applying, because I was applying when I'm already here, you have to prove that I am working for this number of hours, I'm schooling for this number of hours, and so I have some time to spend with my child. And not only, they want to know when you are in school, when you are at work, when you are wherever you're, the reason you are going abroad for, who is going to take care of your child. So you have to secure school as proof, and also ensure that the housing also. Also, like I said earlier, we're here, for instance, in Austria, it is not just you wake up in the morning and you leave your child. Having a child is a full-time job. You have to keep eye on them throughout. Otherwise, you just stand a chance of bringing your child to join you or relocating with your child, and then you lose it. The children's service will come for the child, because whenever a children status is involved, it is a very serious matter. So make sure that you have ways in which you have, if it's about caregiving, if it's like house, okay, or someone taking care of your child when you're away, or during working hours, they are in kindergarten, and many others. Then you should also look at the healthcare or the insurance in the new coming countries. Part of the requirement, that is definitely, because for the visa to be approved, you have to prove insurance cover for the health, and also, if necessary, you have to deregister in your country, both you and your child, and then re-register into the country you're coming in within a given period, number of days of your arrival, as per the requirements of that specific country. So let's go back a little bit notch at the requirements or the questions you would want to ask, and take a pen again and note this down. So you would want to ask these questions to your lawyer, because you want to get a clear understanding and get well prepared before you go before the courts, because it's a convincing process and you have to be in sound mind and answer accurately and imagine the scenarios. So the first question you have to tell the lawyer or ask is to give you specific situation, okay, that is better for applying for the sole custody. Okay, sometimes you might go for full custody, because you can prove that you'll be taking care of the child the whole time and you get it. But you have to look at the situation. You cannot apply for full custody because you are in bad terms with your partner or the father of the child or the other parent or the mother of the child, and be within a period of 2 months you want full custody because they have not been talking to you or to the child for 2 months, it will not be granted. So you have to ask them to look at the best scenario. Is it full custody? Is it sole custody? Should you ask for all the questions that you need to know? Which one is the best possible one? The next question you want to ask are, what are my relationship chances of obtaining this sole custody? You have to look at that because you have to ask that you want to see, or for your lawyer to do research on the recent. So how does the recent ruling from January 2026, for instance, regarding the international relocation impact my specific case? So you look at the previous case, recent ones, and compare it with the situation, because all these rulings sometimes they go hand in hand and they reference or benchmark with the already existing cases to make sure they make the best decision. So check out between January and now, for instance, how long or how many people have been granted sole custody under your situation, and so what are the chances? You be prepared, because it is not for sure that you will be granted, but you have to give sufficient proofs, and you can also look at their situations and analyze and see whether you want to change your sole custody into full or full into sole or joint, whichever you want. Yeah. So the next one is, if I am the primary caregiver of this child, you have been taking full custody, you have been taking care of the child everywhere. So how much weight does it carry on your personal chances or probability of winning this? Okay, so the personal motive of carrying the court is like, how much weight that can it carry in the court's eyes? So if you have been providing, of course, it carries more weight. And as long as you can prove, like we said in one of the points that we mentioned, that if someone has total no interest, of course, you will be given even granted full custody and access. So you have to check this to make sure that this is applicable. Then look at the relocation plan, okay? So what exactly you need to be in your relocation plan to convince the judge. Like I said, you have to come up with the best interest of the child's decision, that you are sure this is what I want to do for my child, because it is not about you. So saying that I am relocating and I do not have finance, but I am the best parent, cannot hold weight. Okay, so how should we propose the visitation plan schedule? Because if you do not prepare, they will strike you with, for instance, let's take an example. If they ask you, how do you plan on ensuring that the partner who is staying in the other country would be able to see the child? Maybe you have the plans that they will visit the child, or you have plans of relocating. They want you to be so realistic, because when you say, I would be coming every holidays for the visitation, it will be so impossible, because holidays would be roughly about after every 3 months, and we're talking about flight tickets. So we are talking about money here that's involved, and planning and moving the child, shifting the child every now and then, because it's all about either they are in school and then they're in their country, and you also want them to also blend in with this culture. Is so unrealistic. So you have to ask this question and ask them which is the proposed visitation plan or the schedule. And then either the host should pay, which is you, or you are going to pay for the ticket flight. This should come clear. Okay. And then the next question, will the court require psychological evaluation or involve family court help? So you are also prepared and you know what to expect as the outcome, because psychological evaluation, children departments evaluation, and all the evaluations that will be done also holds weight to the final decree or ruling by the court. And then also at my child's age, how much weight will the judge give my child's own wishes? Of course, if your child is 5 years and below, the primary chances, before we consider anything else, is that the mother would be given custody, unless we can prove that they are not mentally okay, they are on drugs, or they are not in the situation, the situation of the place of residence is not suitable. So it would be that, and then other factors. So, but if your child is 14 years, for instance, or 16, then the child would make a decision whom they want to stay with. And even if you file for custody, they will grant the child the wishes. If the child is also 10, they would listen to the child's story. They would ask very, very critical question. And you know, like mothers, who will be the first one to be considered to be beating up their children in Africa? Disciplining by caning. That's just say stop. And so, what is your relationship with your child? That is not even something they would, but they would want them to feel free and talk. And so, also to consider how is the situation at home, and not what is presented to us as evidence against the fight or against the, yeah, between the rift between the two of them, for instance. The next one is if the other parent filed for injunction or a travel ban to stop. So you could win in court, but then your partner could also try to stop you from leaving the country. So you have to ask your lawyer to tell you the plan or how to go about it to make sure that they do not stop this, or like appeal or injunction or whichever. So what is your plan if they try to stop it? If you can't process this, you have to ask them. So the next one is, how do we enforce child support? Like in case the other partner refuse to pay. Like we said earlier, you could say in the court, which would be more favorable. You say, yeah, I'm okay and my finances are intact, so I just want this for the best of the baby. So I will be bringing the baby for the other partner to see, or he could be coming. But you also have to state if you're going to be the one responsible for the flight or whoever is having the child. So when I relocate the child, the flights are on me. But when the child has to come and see the other parent, that is on them. But what if they refuse to pay? Also for the child support in general, they just decided, okay, it has not gone as planned, so then I will stop the financial support. How should you go about it? So, like I said earlier, you have to look at the realistic timeline of the court processes, look at the billing structure, the bills also. You have to talk to your lawyer in advance to look at even if you are going to pay the bills in advance, because this is professional work and they are doing you solid, yeah? And then the next one, the last one, is the legal step to take immediately after the meeting. What is the immediate requirement you have to put in place? So if you listened to me up to this moment and you have not liked the video, please click that like button. If you are listening and you're watching me for the first time, or you are yet to subscribe, click that subscription button. Till the next video, let me know in the comment section really what you'd like me to address, or something that might have not been clear. I would be glad to clarify in my own capacity as a theoretical lawyer or theoretical legal person, yes. So I see you in the next video, and thank you so much for listening to me. And I wish you all the best for this mother out there, for this father out there who is trying to secure their custody, both joint or sole, and all the best. May it come out successful, because children's life are more important than anything else in that matter, yeah. So thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you in the next video. Till next time, ciao.